The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. Thank you for joining us once again. I will remind you, stewart.com/radio. That's right. That's where you can see and hear this show and also past episodes at stewart.com/radio. You could see, hear the guests, and also see past episodes right there because you never know what's going to happen right here in the studio. So thank you for joining us again, stewart.com/radio. A super show today. We're going to talk about money, real estate, and also a very worthy cause. So let's get started as we welcome Chris Bonham with New City Mortgage. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Bill. So excited to be here.
Well, it's awesome. Money is so important, makes the world go round in all the categories of our life. First of all, Chris, let's tell people about your company.
You bet. We were founded in 7 of 17. And we decided if we could put a mortgage... 7 of 17.
That's right. Easy to remember.
Very easy to remember, yeah. So we're 5 years. My background, worked at the Federal Reserve Bank in 2002, got in the mortgage business. So I've been doing it 21 years, and we've seen the ups and the downs, and we think it's a fantastic market. We're very excited right now.
Well, that sounds awesome to hear that you have adjusted, and we all had... It's a reminder, too, for all of us buying and selling or just even watching that things go up, they go down, and it's an interesting market, but people are always going to need the loan. They're always going to need to buy a home for some reason.
That's right, yeah. People are getting married. They have kids. They need more space, less space, downsize, retire. People get divorced. People die. So we're always looking to, whatever the opportunity is for the family, how do we help them?
Well, give people an idea right now, Chris, as we hear, a lot of times we hear about news and the national news. That doesn't necessarily happen or apply to what's happening here in Houston or maybe even other cities. But if someone is in the market for a mortgage or thinking about it, they're sitting on the sidelines hearing all these things, what's different now? In what ways should they be ready now versus before? Are there any new things they should consider before they embark on calling you to say, hey, I need a mortgage?
Yeah, totally. So two things I wanted to kind of talk about today. Number one, basically, is that while we all sat at home with COVID, our homes went up $100,000 to $150,000 in value. So we're all sitting now with a lot of money, equity tied up in our home. And what we're seeing is a lot of restructuring of debt, whether it be credit card debt or installment debt, student loan debt. So that's really what we're seeing now is a lot of people taking cash and equity out of their home for projects and debt consolidation, stuff like that.
Well, as far as we're at the end of the year and as you look forward and you're helping people right now, what are you seeing play out for the end of the year? And then also, what if you were to guess, what's going to happen next year? Are you getting any indicators in your world?
Wow, put me right into the fire with that. What's going to happen next year? So.
We'll finish out this year first. How do you think it's going to unwind? Of course, holiday season, all these other things are factors as well.
Correct, yeah. I think it's a great time to be a buyer. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Scenario number one, you're looking to purchase a home, and you're going up against 55 different buyers, and you're overpaying for the house $50,000 to $75,000. So you're overpaying. Now let's look at the market now. You have tons of inventory. You can get a deal from the seller. You can get them a price reduction, closing costs paid. So you're underpaying, let's say $20,000 in the same market. So you've got an $80,000 to $90,000 swing. Bill, would you rather overpay for a home or underpay for a home and have a point or a 2-point higher in interest rate?
I would never want to overpay. I live by those words. I try anyway.
Correct. Yeah, so we think it's a great market. There's a ton of inventory. If you want to buy an investment home or a primary residence, second home, Airbnb, VRBO, now's a great time to get out and start looking.
That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned the second home. How much of that are you seeing right now? Because I would think from the standpoint of just the time of year, this is probably a good time to look for that second home. Just guessing.
Yeah, I think so. Revenue typically is higher in the summer, I would think, as far as rents and how much you're going to be commanding. So a lot of people are looking to offload that second home property now, so you can get a pretty good deal. We're really big on Galveston. We've been doing a lot of second home purchase in the Galveston, Clear Lake area, basically with fuel up, with the economy down. Instead of people flying into Tampa, they're driving down to Galveston and spending that week, down south here with our neighbors. So we're really big second home. Also, Hill Country provides a great opportunity for people to, 2-3 hour drive and be at a vacation as opposed to getting your flight canceled.
What about the places that Galveston? Let's go north in terms of Livingston, Lake Conroe. Are you seeing much of that as well?
Lake Conroe is always hot. People can get, from any part of Houston up to the lake in an hour 15 minutes. So Lake Conroe, not so much Livingston. We haven't seen a bunch of foot traffic there, but getting up toward Lake Somerville and those areas, Hill Country again, Canyon Lake has been very hot. So the financing on that's very interesting. We can do it with only 10% down. So a second home typically has to be 90 miles away from your primary residence. And we've got a special program at New City Mortgage where we can get you into that second home with 10% down.
Well, that's very interesting to hear that. Also, as far as the different kinds of loans that you have, I know there's too numerous to mention, but I want to remind people that depending what they need and who they are, assets and those things, there's a lot of different kinds of mortgage. I mean, I know I forget about that sometimes, but there's different things and something to fit everybody or every family.
Yeah, we definitely try. We call it the DNA of a borrower, and we're looking, do they have a lot of income? Do they have little income, good credit, bad credit, a lot of money, a little bit of money? So at New City Mortgage, we basically have over 90 different banks we can broker to. So we go out and shop the market. So instead of you going online to your local bank or driving around town, we can hit 90 of them in the matter of a minute and basically find the best program for you.
And let's say someone's just ready to buy their primary home and they haven't purchased in a while. What new things do they need to do to prepare, and when should they begin the process? Let's say I want to start really looking seriously, just pick a date, December 1st.
Okay.
And it's right now. When should I begin?
Yeah, Bill.
Talking to you or another company.
Yeah, I mean, probably November 31st would be fine. There's only 30 days in November. So typically I'd say about a month, right?
So get prepared a month in advance.
About 30 days you'd want to reach out. Typically what we'll do is we'll take your information, real easy, kind of who you are, where you work, where you live, collect your financial documentation. We start working on income, credit, assets, all of the things. Typically we can have you pre-approved in about 2 to 3 days. And that way you can really kind of get out in front of everything.
And as far as going through the process now versus a year, 2-3 years ago, is there anything different that they have to prepare for?
Not so much. Right now we have a lot of new programs that are coming out into the market, a lot of emerging products. So U.S. housing continues to lead the world globally, and people wanting to pour money and invest in our market. So we've got quite an appetite right now for different programs. So don't hesitate if you've got a blip on your credit or your income's, maybe you were self-employed and now you're W-2 or vice versa. We've got some different programs that we can look at to get you financed.
And you mentioned self-employed. Give us an idea from the process of going through the loan, how much different in terms of time is it if I'm self-employed versus employed by Stewart Title, say, or somewhere else?
Yeah, typically we're looking for a 1 to 2 year self-employment history where you filed at least a tax return showing that you've earned income as a self-employed individual. But we also can pivot. We've got some bank statement programs. So if you've got a lot of assets, we've got an asset depletion loan where we may not even need to bring in your tax returns or your W-2. So for your primary residence, we can deplete the assets over a 5-year period, annuitize them, and then come back with an income to get you qualified. So in that case, we wouldn't even need your income.
We're talking with Chris Bonin with New City Mortgage. Chris, you can be doing a lot of things in life. What is it about the mortgage, the money world that drew you in and that you love so much?
Yeah, just the collaboration, meeting new people, helping new families, kind of climbing the hill. and helping people achieve the dream of home ownership. We've helped a lot of people diversify out of Wall Street, which if you saw the report, I guess Sunday night, Monday morning,
Brutal.
It was down. So we're helping a lot of people diversify out of Wall Street into U.S. housing. And we're although we're not getting the appreciation we did a year and a half ago, we are seeing a lot of gains in different areas. So it's a great time to continue to buy. And don't forget, you always have a tenant paying that debt down for you. So even if you're not appreciating, you are paying your loan off. So tax deductions, a lot of interesting ways to kind of dice it. So we love helping people. And my life goal is if we can put a man on the moon, we can solve a loan problem. So if you really think about that. So that's kind of the attitude we take to get deals done.
That makes perfect sense. So what else do we need to know about your company or anything else before we close this segment?
Yeah, absolutely. We are located on the northwest side of the city, so we're basically in Jersey Village. Our corporate headquarters, we're in 13 different states. We go east, Florida, and then all the way up to D.C. and Maryland. So we've got an amazing group of people, whether you're looking to get in the mortgage business, we'd love to talk with you, or get into investing or buy a house. We have a very can-do attitude. And really, we will not let our customer have a bad experience. We are pro service and taking great care of people. And so if you're looking to do business with a company like that, we would love the opportunity to talk with them.
Chris, let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
You bet. Website, newcitymortgage.com. I'll give you my direct line. It's area code 713-818-2593. You can call or text me, and also email Chris at newcitymortgage.com.
And the phone number again is
713-818-2593.
Thank you so much, Chris Bonin.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it, Bill.
It's time to talk real estate with Andrea Joseph. She's with Keller Williams Memorial right here in Houston, Texas. Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bill. Pleasure meeting you.
Well, good to see you. Keller Williams Memorial is doing tremendous work, but if someone is not familiar with the company, let's tell people what's going on over at Keller Williams Memorial.
Well, Keller Williams has been in business for, over 40 years here in the Houston area and all over Texas. And we are about 700 strong in our office. And my small team, A to Z Houston real estate team, has been in business for about 14 years.
And just in the Memorial office, there's 700?
Yes, sir.
It seems like it's gone up just from a month or so ago. And your team is called?
A to Z Houston real estate team.
A to Z Houston real estate team. Let's give people an idea, Andrea, as far as you mentioned the team aspect of what you're doing. If someone's out there thinking about a real estate professional using their services, give them an idea of the difference between, say, an individual or your team.
So the team aspect is one that I think really helps when you are in those positions. If you're selling, maybe you're relocating, or someone is relocating here and you only have one spouse here and one spouse away, it allows my team to be able to kind of work the back end and the front end in a seamless way. It's difficult sometimes when you only have one person to call, and with two of us, you never have a call unanswered.
So that's a great thing.
Yeah.
As far as the market right now, let's take the buyer. A lot of dynamics are happening in the marketplace, shifting, all different words they attach to it. But right now, if we're in Houston, Texas, and we want your services and I'm a buyer, what are some of the things we should think about right now?
One of the things I think that it's really important to understand is that interest rates, although they seem a little scary, are really not something to put you off from buying. It is an exceptional time to honestly be buying a house, because up to this point, 2 years ago, up till now, we were in a situation where we had an inflated market. We were in multiple offer situations, 14, 15, 17 offers on a house, and buyers were really frustrated and losing out on deals time after time after time. And we're finding now that it is an opportunity to kind of take a breath. The market's still very strong, and buyers are actually able to go in and ask for things, contingencies, maybe some closing costs, things like that. And we're getting a little bit more balanced on our offers and not paying so much.
A little bit more normal, so to speak.
Normal market, correct.
Well, when we think back, it was really, really different a while back, 2 years ago, let's say. But one of the interesting things as a real estate professional for several years or many years, it's interesting to see how the real estate professionals in all the categories have adjusted and continue to adjust. That takes a certain skill to be able to do that.
It does take a certain skill, and it is important, like with a team like mine, to be able to kind of keep your pulse on that with the economic piece to it, and then really what consumer confidence is. That's a huge gap sometimes, and consumers are a little bit nervous about things because they read and see things that seem really scary, and that's not actually what's happening in the market.
And especially our market is different because we're one of the places, correct me if I'm wrong, that people are coming to as opposed to leaving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have so many different streams of income here. We have, oil, we have the medical industry, tech. There's so many things that support people moving here. And I don't know about you, but I see a new license plate here every single day.
I see them all the time.
Every single day. So yeah, it is a great place to live.
So speaking of that, let's take the last, 10 buyers that you may have helped, you and your team.
Yep.
How many of them were from out of the state of Texas, if any?
I would say out of the last 10, 8 of them actually.
Yeah, it's a high percentage. How are they finding, certainly Keller Williams, as you mentioned, people know all over the world really, but how are they finding you?
We are a 100% referral-based business. And I moved here from Colorado. My husband's in the oil business, and that business is kind of small. And so a lot of my business, most of our business comes from that. We get a lot of referrals from people that are relocating like myself. I moved 11 times in 10 years.
Wow.
In that world. And
that's another bit of experience you bring to helping people,
yes,
too.
I certainly do, yeah.
What city in Colorado, by the way?
Denver.
How was that?
It's a beautiful place to live. It still is a beautiful place to live. It's changed a lot, but it was a wonderful place to live, to ski, to be in those mountains all the time. It's
Hiking.
still a great place to go visit. And I will always do that at least once a year, get away from this heat.
What heat? It's been so hot here.
I know.
It's so weird. I don't know. But Denver, Colorado, that's awesome. So one of the things, so you're talking to people from Denver, friends over there. And what are some of the other places, though, besides, say, Colorado or anybody from the East Coast? It seems like we're hearing more about New York.
New York, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, I'm trying to think, Chicago, Philadelphia, West Arizona, and California.
So you've helped people from Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Wonder why they're leaving.
They happen to be one of the 10 that I've just recently helped are doctors moving here for residency.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. So let's take the seller now. Things are a little bit different. You go out and talk to a potential listing. What are some of the things that are happening there when you talk to, and is there one place that you're working? We know Keller Williams Memorial is right now, at least right now, it's off of I-10 and Campbell Road area, and we're going to be moving and so forth. Indeed. But do you work a certain part around your office, or how far do you go?
We try to be a little bit eclectic around that. We're a little different. Our team really likes to support all neighborhoods that are desirable. So we sell all the way up to Magnolia and all the way down to Galveston, all the way west out to Katy, Fulshire, because that's kind of the hot markets right now. So
I want to go back to the fact that as far as all your tools as a real estate professional, having the insight in a tremendous way, I think having that moving 11 times in 10 years helps you with empathy to the people that are moving, and probably you give them an idea or two to make it easy. I'm just guessing.
Well, making it easy through educating. I think, we have a lot of fear around things when we don't know, we don't go, right? So I think that's,
say that again.
If we don't know, we don't go. If you don't know.
Okay, that's a good one.
So the team is always there to help and support. That's the main thing. Having a small team like mine, it's not a big corporate hoo-ha where you don't get to talk to us. Tina and myself are there for you anytime. So it's important to be able to get those questions answered anytime so that you can go and buy the house.
You mentioned Tina. Tina's on your team?
So Tina Schwartz is on my team, yes. And so Tina and I are our partners, and then we have a back-end team that helps with all of our processing.
Well, you also mentioned Galveston. Mm-hmm. We've already heard a little bit about that on this show. Let's talk about Galveston. You've helped some people down there, I understand.
So Galveston and myself, actually. I was helping some clients, and I got struck by the bug and ended up buying something down there. I sure did.
How about that?
I did. It just happened.
It's like a jeweler. You're working with a jeweler, and you're like, I want two for me.
I'll take two.
So you bought something in Galveston?
I did. It is a charming, charming, charming town. It is, to get away from town to buy something as a second home that's only an hour away is almost impossible in any other state that has the things that we have to offer. There's a music scene. There's a food scene.
A history scene.
A history
historic
scene.
Galveston.
It's ridiculously amazing. The museums down there are fantastic. The Historical Society. And those houses, they're just incredible. The stuff that made it through the 1900 storm, they're just old ladies with stories, I feel like. So it's a unique place to live, and I could see myself retiring there. I think there are a lot of people retiring there because there is an extension of UTMB right there. You're close to everything. It's just a great place.
Give us an idea of how that came about. You mentioned it, but you're helping someone find a home in Galveston. And I assume they found it. You found one for them, and they got the home.
So what they wanted was a waterfront property. They were kind of open.
What's the price points that we're talking about in waterfront?
How long they were kind of all over. Actually, in the last month,
all right, so
they were all over the place with what they wanted. They thought they might want to move into a condo to kind of keep things simplified, or maybe they wanted to expand and make it kind of a multi-generational family situation, meaning. It was a husband, wife, and a sister-in-law that were going to move in together. So we looked around, and our price point was between $450 and $700. And so we did a lot of searching. We went all the way down to Angleton, and we went all the way up to Lake Jackson. Then we jumped a little further, went up to Conroe. We were looking around. So what really drove the desire to be in Galveston was that it's only an hour from the city.
Sure.
And that you have the beach. And you have all of that community there. It's charming.
And you mentioned the price point starting at $450. You can buy something on the water for $450?
You can.
Okay, at what point of helping this person or persons was it where you were like, okay, I want one too? I think that...
I know.
Because you're excited to help someone, and we're all excited about our profession and stuff, but then somewhere it's like, okay.
It kind of grabs you.
How did that happen?
I know. It came in.
That sounds like fun.
It was really fun. It came in kind of as I always have it in the back of my mind, if I found something that had this.
And you did.
And I did. I walked in, and it just had the right floor plan. I personally will probably use it for an Airbnb. I am an Airbnb host for my house in Denver, so I kind of have that under my hat already. So I wanted something that could house a family or a extended family for holidays, things like that, because it is 5 blocks from the beach, and it's about a 5-minute walk to the Strand. So that's what got it for me.
A lot of boxes being checked there.
Yep.
Okay, give us an idea as you came from Denver to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
How are you handling the heat? Does it even bother you? It sounds like you're embracing it.
Well,
just saying.
I know it was a little terrifying to be moving, honestly, to the South. I had never lived in the South before, and I just didn't know how I was going to deal with it. And that first year was a little bit hard just to adjust because I was used to winters and that kind of stuff. But when I didn't have to shovel that first year, that did it for me. I'm sold on warm weather.
We have a pretty good food scene here in Houston.
And a great food scene. Yes, absolutely great.
Well, before we close the segment, we're talking with Andrea Joseph with Keller Williams Memorial and the A to Z team. Before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know about what's going on?
Well, you can reach us at HoustonMetroHomesearch.com, and our phone number is 832-324-9903.
One more time, the number is?
832-324-9903.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's welcome Daisy Crespo. She is with Katy Christian Ministries. Daisy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Just for a second there, I almost called you Katy, but it's Daisy.
It could be Daisy Katy.
Something like that. Well, look, let's tell people you have a very important organization doing tremendous work, helping people. Let's tell people about Katy Christian Ministries.
Absolutely. And you just mentioned very important, helping families in our communities. So has been around for 38 years.
Wow.
38 years, Bill. Founded in 1984 during the downturn of the economy. And you know what, as I think about it now, where same issues that were prevalent then are existing today. So social services, crisis center, food pantry, and an array of services to the families.
And how long have you been with the organization? You're the executive director.
Yes. It's very interesting because I started as a volunteer actually 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I've been in many areas of the organization that ultimately in 2014, I was called to be the executive director. So been in it, and every day it's like a brand new day for me. So, and I love it.
Well, let's tell people who you're helping and how you're helping them.
Who are we helping? Are those families that are hurting financially, those families that have very little resources, those families that are impacted by loss of employment, or perhaps they have been diagnosed with a serious illness, those that are going through a lot of emotional distress, families that or individuals who are victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse, those families who do not have the means to purchase groceries, to have a meal at their tables, whether it may be for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Those families that need us as loving neighbors in the communities to say, you know what, there is hope.
Well, and that's a good reminder as we think a lot of us here in Houston, Texas, especially, are, regardless of all the dynamics economically, we're still doing really well when you look at us versus the rest of the country. We still have a place people want to be in from all over the United States, even the world. And sometimes we forget as we think about ourselves and concentrating on our net worth and the next home and a bigger and better and all that, we forget there's people out there. And Katy, for those that are listening on the internet that are outside of Houston, Katy is a suburb west of the city. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you don't think even at the suburbs there are people that are in need and that need help.
Right. And so tapping into that, I will tell you that there are a lot of children out there that do not own a pair of shoes. Believe me when I say that, because we see them. We see our senior citizens who are coming in asking for milk. And on that subject, we have spent over $20,000 just to purchase gallons of milk since May of this year. When the gas prices increased and when you had that inflation, it put our families who are on low income, it pushed them over the edge. They don't have that safety net like that you and I would have. So let's say, I'm out of milk. Oh, no big deal, no problem. I'm just going to run to the store and get me a gallon of milk. For our families, they can't just easily go and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go get this and that. Personal care items is very difficult. So Katy Christian Ministries, through the generosity of the community, and I'm talking about from realtors, I'm talking about from businesses, corporations, and just individual partners, through the giving, right, from the generosity of their hearts, is how we're able to equip many families in our community. Right now, I will tell you, we are suffering from donations of meat, where before that was such a blessing to be able to choose, do you want chicken? Do you want beef? Do you want pork? Now, we're just economically also feeling that impact at the organizational level. If donations are down organizationally wide, yes, we also know that there are other community members who were impacted. And so it is, it's a journey, but we focus on the mission, which is to transform lives through the generosity of the community. So,
Well, I heard recently in some article or news thing that I think it was the number was $400 and there was a percentage of whatever poll that X amount of people are $400. That's all they have if they have that in savings. And there are some people that don't even have that. So let's tell people how they can help.
Absolutely.
They can reach out to you, right?
The community can definitely go to our website, and we do have a giving platform, and it is ktcm.org/donate, or just go to ktcm.org and learn about all the various programs that are equipped to build resiliency in our families and guide them towards a path of self-sufficiency. So there are many, many ways. And I promise you this, if there's a donor out there in the community that says, I'm willing to give $15 a month, know that we will honor that donation towards the intended request may be. Say if it's in their heart to support our crisis center, to help a victim, whether if it's a child or up to an elderly, of domestic violence or sexual abuse, so that we can provide the free therapy sessions that are needed and that crisis intervention, that it's geared towards their healing. Know that those funds will be allocated towards the crisis center. Likewise, if they say, I want to give you $50 so that you can sustain the food pantry, that's what it will be designated for. Or social services. I just found out right now, we have been helping many families with rent, mortgage, and utilities assistance, that we're depleting those funds. So we depend on community support, and that's where I tap into the mission. It is through the generosity of the community. And right now we're heading into the holidays. My heart is heavy. You know why? Because there are many, many families out there in our community that are, again, suffering. They're going through a lot of stresses in their lives. And so what we want to do is, for this coming Thanksgiving, is have turkeys and hams so that they can also have a good Thanksgiving, and leading up to Christmas, be able to provide presents for the children that don't have or the families that don't have the resources.
Well, it's interesting the way you're helping in so many ways. You mentioned counseling even.
Yes, I love it.
And all ages, from children, and you said some do not even have shoes.
Exactly.
The elderly.
Exactly. It is a comprehensive model, Bill. I believe in, when you talk about transforming a life, I believe in looking at it in a holistic approach, right? There are many different barriers, many different stressors in someone's life that it could entail, housing, transportation, childcare, the language barrier, and all the skills that are needed so that they can be successful and get him out of that crisis situation, again, on a pathway to self-sufficiency. But it may take 2 years, right, to get them to that point. And that's what we want, right? And so we're looking at a holistic approach, wraparound models. We're looking at all the different barriers so that we can equip our families and be resilient.
And I was on your website before the show, so people can go there. It's very informative and easy for people to understand what you're doing, and also for them to help as well.
Absolutely. So again, they can contact us or invite us over. I'm always saying, let's go for coffee. I love coffee. But go to our website.
Did you have coffee before the show?
2 cups.
There you go. So did I. I had a feeling you had extra energy when I met you. That's awesome. Yeah, coffee's great, isn't it?
But go to our website, and I love the fact that you went into our website, and that's what we want, to educate our communities.
Well, this time of year, there's so many things going on, and you're right. People are in extra need. Mm-hmm. It's a good time of year to help, and also as people are taking stock of their own assets and taxes and planning for the year, they also are looking at where they can give. So it's a good time of year for that. Again, your website is ktcm.org. Give us an idea. The other thing you mentioned is you talked about chicken and beef and stuff. I mean, those prices have gone through the roof.
Yes. That's
an extra challenge for you right now.
It is. And we want to, have the resources for our families, and it's a struggle. And for us who are, at the front line and seeing the families, is really difficult to tell someone, we just gave the last package of meat. Imagine. And so it's heartbreaking. But you know what? I do tell my staff and volunteers, by faith and action. Every day. So yes, my ask to the entire community is that as we approach the year end, think about not only Katy Christian Ministries, because we're all in this together, but think about where you're being called to serve, because through volunteerism, that is such an important piece to a nonprofit organization. The time is so valuable. So think about treasure, time, and talent. Where can you get plugged in?
Treasure, time, and talent.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned the word volunteers.
Yes.
So let's say some the ways that people can help. Obviously, they can donate. right?
Yes.
Dollars and cents.
Yes.
They can they bring food by that as well?
Absolutely.
So if there's items, food
Oh, my
items,
goodness.
they could do that. And what if they say, hey, I can lend my services, I can lend my labor,
Welcome.
so you can take the volunteers. There's a lot of ways to help.
You bet. It's an array of opportunities to get engaged.
Give us an idea. What is it? How did you become the executive director? Why did you choose this versus all the other things that you would be talented at doing?
Oh, Bill, it is in my DNA. It is in my DNA to help and to be there for those who, again, are hurting emotionally, physically, and financially in any way that I can.
We're talking with Daisy Crespo with Katy Christian Ministries. That's right. The website is ktcm.org. Before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know, Daisy?
I want y'all to know that we are definitely mission focused, and we are here to love and serve and make a difference together. So join us at ktcm.org and be a part of transforming lives together.
And if they want to make a phone call to the organization,
281-391-5261.
one more time.
281-391-5261.
Daisy Crespo. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you, Bill.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is, John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. Hey, John.
Hi, Bill. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Always. I love that. Thank you so much. You've made my day. It's a pleasure to talk insurance once again. I wait every week, and I'm excited about it.
Well, it is the highlight of the show. As good as our guests have been, you still can't top the insurance segment.
Exactly. But today, here you are with something new and different to talk about, as you do each week.
Well, today I'd like to talk about some basic insurance essentials or knowledge points that a first-time home buyer ought to keep in mind. If you're a third-time home buyer, it's worth maybe taking a look at your home plan and making sure that you've got the coverage that you want, that you truly are properly covered. From time to time, I'll do a class for first-time home buyers, and these are some of the points that we share in that class.
Well, one of the things already mentioned here today is that, and personally, I love this time of year for so many reasons. The weather's going to get a little bit cooler, we hope. It's a time of assessment. You're talking about your home insurance or any other kinds of insurance. I like to assess all the categories of life as I finish up the year and look forward to the new year, and I know a lot of people do too.
Well, that's right. So, if you're a first-time home buyer, hopefully these points will be helpful. And if you already own a home, it might, as you say, be worth as you wrap up the year and assess the year and get ready for 2023, what are some of the things that, take a look at your current plan to make sure that the coverage is what you want. From a broad perspective, I think it's important for anybody, but especially a first-time home buyer, to understand that all insurance is a decision about risk. How much risk you're willing to take on as an individual versus how much risk you're willing to place on the insurance company. And that could be, if you're very risk averse, that could be a very robust policy where you're placing the majority of the risk on the insurance company, or for whatever reason you need a very conservative plan and you take on the majority of the risk, as long as you understand, in our world, in our view, as long as you understand what risk you're taking on versus the risk you're passing on to the insurance company, we deem that being properly insured. So I think that's the first thing that's important to understand. The second is to get a feel for the types of brokers that you might be working with. So there's a captive agent and there's an independent agent. So a captive agent would be a firm that can only represent or provide the products and services that parent group allows them to do so in that market. Whereas an independent agency like Stewart Insurance, we have relationships with a variety of insurance partners. So we can build that plan based upon the needs of our clients.
Well, that's right. You're doing incredible work there, you and the associates at Stewart Insurance. And one of the things, I've said this before many shows ago, and that is when we think about insurance, you talk very eloquently about how much risk do we want to take? And those that are, quote, self-insured, that means they're paying for it out of their own pocket no matter what happens. Or how much do we share with the insurance company? And there's a cost to do that. So there's in between, there's a balancing, and by assessing, some people just look at insurance where, oh, my bill came in, it's time for renewal, here's the money, let's do it again. Very important that you bring it up like this, because we really want to think a little bit more than it's just time for renewal, here's the money. Know what we have, and also know how much you want to have in terms of that protection.
Absolutely. And one of the first things to know is what will a home insurance plan is eligible for and what it's not. So if it's your primary residence, and you're the owner and you're going to be occupying it, then you have the opportunity to have a home insurance plan. But if you're renting the property, then you're not going to be eligible for a home insurance plan. Or it's not your primary residence, it's a secondary residence, a vacation home,
or Airbnb, like we hear so much about.
So then that's not a home insurance plan. So it's got to be owner occupied, the residence, and it's got to be your primary residence. So that's, once we get that out of the way, then there are a few terms that are worth understanding. One is deductible, and that simply is the amount of money that we as the insured are responsible for prior to the insurance kicking in. So if your deductible, let's say, is $1,000, you're responsible for the first $1,000 of that claim, and after that's covered, if that claim is covered by the plan, then the insurance company would take over up to your limit. And every insurance plan will have a limit, a liability limit. So it would be a certain amount of money per claim, and then a certain amount of money that would be covered for the aggregate or the entirety of that plan. So deductible, and then what that liability would be. You need to look at your premium. The premium is what you pay for that insurance. So that's your annual amount that you would pay for your home insurance plan. If you're working on trying to balance that premium, sometimes you can increase your deductible, how much you're responsible, increase the amount you're responsible for before passing it along to the insurance partner, and that at times can reduce the premium. So that's one thing that you can take a look at with your insurance advisor. Two others to take a look at are, if there's damages, how are they replaced? So there's replacement cost coverage, which is the most thorough, broadest coverage. And it's the cost to replace damaged property with materials and like, kind, and quantity or quality without any deduction or depreciation. So if you had a $1,000 couch that's 5 years old that was damaged, they will replace it with a similar couch in today's market of the similar value. If you have actual cash value coverage, the cost to repair or replace the damaged property less the deductible. So there will be a deductible in that. So you're going to pay less money, less premium, more than likely, if you have actual cash value than you would in a replacement cost plan. But a replacement cost plan is more robust, and you're going to get what you lost replaced for the value that it would have today.
And the other thing is, we talk the dollars and cents of insurance. You could save a few dollars, and I like to do this by paying in full. So when we talk about that premium, you could pay it different ways depending on the plan, but I like to pay mine in full, and that way I know I'm getting the best price.
Generally speaking, there's two words in insurance that are either great or they're horrible.
It depends.
It depends. There you go.
That applies to everything in life, though.
Yeah, it
especially
does.
Insurance.
But it does. But in many cases, if you are paying in full, whether it be a personal plan or a business plan, that you can get a lower premium, because if you are paying out over a period of time, there's either going to be a service charge or a finance charge. But again, it depends upon what your needs are. The other thing to take a look at is, what types of peril policy is it? And all a peril is what is that event that would cause a damage? So, for example, a fire would be considered a peril. And in general terms, there are two types of plans that we'll see in a home policy. One is a named peril, and the other is an open or all risk peril. So in a named peril, they'll list only the perils that they will cover. So it will tell you specifically in the plan, these are the perils that we'll cover. A open peril or all risk coverage, they will say, the plan says we will cover everything except, and they'll list their exceptions. So in a named perils policy, the responsibility lies more on the insured, more on us as individuals. In an all risk or open perils plan, the responsibility is greater on that of the insurance company. But again, if you put more of the risk on the insurance company, there's a chance that premium is going to be a little higher. But again, it just depends upon, what your expectations are and what you want to look at. And then the last thing that I wanted to cover today to look at if it's your first-time home buyer or just to evaluate your own coverage is we've always talked a lot about water damage. And then from an insurance perspective, that there's two ways that insurance companies look at water damage: flood and then water damage within the home. And a home plan can, not always, but can provide water damage coverage. But there's 4 types of water damage that a home plan will cover. So there's sudden and accidental, so you have a pipe that bursts, or you have an appliance water line that breaks. The second would be seepage and leakage, so plumbing, piping, faucets that leak over time. There's found water backup, so a sink, a tub, a toilet, it backs up and overflows. And then the last one would be foundation water damage. So if one of those previous 3 causes some damage, and in order to repair that damage, you have to break the foundation.
Ooh.
The foundation water damage coverage helps with the cost of replacing the foundation, not the pieces that are repaired underneath, but the cost of replacing the foundation. A couple of things to keep in mind: not every home plan covers all 4. Not every home plan covers all 4 at the same level. So there may be what's called a sublimit. So if your liability limit is, let's say, $300,000 on your plan, there may be a sublimit of $50,000 for seepage and leakage. So you need to understand, one, does my plan cover all 4? Does it cover any of the 4? And if so, at what level?
So many things to think about. You mentioned a leaking pipe. I know someone right now who's out of their home at least 3 months because they went on vacation, and when they got home, it was a mess.
Oh, the stories are so horrible. We were teaching several years ago 2 sides of water class where we talk about the water damage coverage for the home plan and then what's covered in the flood policy. And one of our guests was a realtor and talked about that they had sold a couple was selling their home, and they had already moved out. So they had already gone to their new location. And over the weekend, they had a backup upstairs. And on Monday morning, they drove by the house, and out of the front door, water was running, was coming from it was either a tub or the toilet upstairs. So, I mean, there really are horror stories, and it's worth understanding what those risks are. It's worth understanding what that damage potentially could be versus the offset cost of a premium.
And I want to say, as we record this show, there's a hurricane going towards Florida. They're preparing for it now. And by the way, you'd be interested to know, maybe later on this afternoon, I'm renewing my flood insurance with Raheem at Stewart Insurance.
Well, that's fantastic.
We already have that date on the calendar. It's not due yet, but I want to get in there early. And I bet there's a lot of people that don't have flood insurance in Florida that wish they did now, because there's usually a 30-day limit.
Well, at this point, if there's something in,
it's in the
if it's
imminent,
in the Gulf and if
imminent.
it's named, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to purchase right now.
If you just came to Houston, buy some flood insurance.
But the key is, and that's important, but the key is the flood coverage is not part of your home policy.
It's not part of the home policy. It's a separate policy.
It's a separate policy. Separate plan. The only parts of a water damage that would be covered in a home plan would be the seepage and leakage, the sudden and accidental, the water backup, and the foundation water damage.
And John, let's tell people how they can reach out to you or the associates at Stewart Insurance.
Well, anybody on our team would love to visit with you and help you be properly insured. You can reach us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. You can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com, and you can email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
It's a wonderful website, very informative. And once again, just for the fun of it, the phone number is
866-798-2827.
John Bramlett at Stewart Insurance. Thank you, John.
Bill, always a pleasure.
And as we wind up the show, he's back, Chris Bonham with New City Mortgage. Hey, Chris, welcome back.
Thank you.
Before we close the show, what else do you want people to know?
Yeah, 2 quick things. One, we have an investment product that we're using now. If you have 20% down, you can put down on a home. We almost need no income documentation. So if you've got money in the bank looking to invest, we can get around the income documentation. And finally, we are also home with a 15-day close. So from when you execute your contract, we can get you closed in 15 days. So love to help anybody out.
Well, let's say that again. The 15-day close. I've not heard of that.
Yeah, 15-day close. So once you execute a contract, we're going to close.
We sign the contract.
Yes, sir. 2 weeks, 1 day, you're at the closing table. So we get you pre-approved, ready to go. In 15 days, you're in your home.
That's quite a distinction.
Yes, sir.
Let's tell people how they can reach you, Chris Bonham.
You bet. 713-818-2593. 713-818-2593.
Thank you so much, Chris. She is back, Andrea Joseph with A to Z Real Estate Houston and Keller Williams Memorial. Andrea, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, let's tell people, before we close the show, what else do you want them to know?
I want them to know that there is no better time to buy a house than right now. If you're
Really?
Really, really. Honestly.
Is it a good time to buy a second house?
A second house,
third?
for sure. Well, a third would be great if you want to put your money in a different place than Wall Street.
Well, there you go.
For
Well, it's too late now. I'm waiting for my money to come back up because it really went down on the stock market. You know what I want people to know?
What?
Tune into the YouTube channel, Stewart.com/radio, because we both have blue glasses on. Did you notice that? As we were talking before, yours are bluer than mine, granted, but they're still blue.
Blue is blue.
Blue is blue. Also, what else should we know about the market in Houston? Now's a great time to buy. They can call you and the team. Let's tell people how they can reach you, Andrea.
832-324-9903 to reach me. And you can check out all of our information at HoustonMetroHomesearch.com.
Well, let's say someone's in Houston and they say, man, I want to buy a home in Denver. You could probably guide them there as well and give them all the ins and outs, I'm guessing.
Ins and outs, and I have great resources there, a Keller Williams team there that can help.
And an Airbnb.
I
like that. Thank you so much for being with us today. And now joining us again is Daisy Crespo with Katie Christian Ministries. There was a song, Daisy, Daisy. And here you are, Daisy. Before we close the show, what else do you want people to know about what you're doing and how they can help?
Sure. 3 things. 1, don't forget, Thanksgiving's coming up, so we are accepting donations of turkeys or hams so that we can give a turkey or ham to a family in need. 2, it is a Santa Sleigh program where we're getting ready to give Christmas presents to children and to the senior citizens. And 3, I forgot to mention that we have resale stores that are a big sustainability for our program so that we can
Actual stores to walk into?
Yes, thrift stores. So
in Katy?
Yes, we have 2 locations, right, in Katy. So those thrift stores, through your donations of household items that you're no longer want in your home, you can donate them. We'll pick them up from your house if they're furniture items, yes. And don't forget, through your shopping, you are supporting our programs. 91 cents of every dollar goes right back to programs.
Well, and this is the time of year, one of the many things that happen this time. I love this time of year. But one of the things people do, like me right now, they're going I got to get this stuff out of my closet. Let's declutter. Let's get ready for the new year.
Right. So there could be
it's a good time to mention that.
Absolutely. So go to our website at ktcm.org.
And that's where they'll find where the stores are as well.
You bet.
We can actually walk in there and take a look around and bring things.
Absolutely.
Again, the website is
ktcm.org.
The phone number is
281-391-5261.
And then also, we want to mention your sidekick that you brought here to the show. She's very nice, by the way. I know she doesn't want to talk. Let's tell a word about her.
Absolutely. I will tell you that Jeanette Trejo is our business development manager, and she will take your donations if you email us at info@ktcm.org. She will look at those emails.
And she's very nice, too, by the way.
Absolutely. You bet. We're a team.
There you go. Teamwork makes the dream work. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, Larry Warren, Tom Carpentier, and Will Melbourne right here with us today. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget, you can see all the action here in the studio, see the guest, hear the guest, and past episodes at stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.